Beauty and the Biz, where we talk about the business and marketing side of plastic surgery. I'm your host, Catherine Maley, author of Your Aesthetic Practice, What Your Patients Are Saying, as well as consultant to plastic surgeons to get them more patients and profits. Now, today's guest is Dr. Nicholas Howland, and he's a young board-certified plastic and reconstructive surgeon practicing in Draper, Utah, at the largest private practice group in the area. And we'll talk more about that. But this is what I find really interesting. He was born in Utah, and before pursuing his medical career, he fulfilled a 2-year church mission to St. Petersburg, Russia, where he was the lead interpreter and coordinator for volunteer efforts in the world-renowned Hermitage Museum. You have to Google it. It is the most unbelievably huge, ornate building I've ever seen, so we'll talk more about that. So Dr. Howland went to medical school and did his residency at the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston, and he's presented at over 20 local and national meetings, as well as published several abstracts, journal articles, and book chapters. Now, he has a great introductory video on his website at howlandplasticsurgery.com. He actually has 2, and one is, and I think everyone should have this, that introductory video, like get to know me kind of thing, where he's talking about cosmetic surgery that he performs, but he is or was also talking about taking call at 6 different hospitals in the area. So we'll have to dig into that and see if he's still doing that. So Dr. Howland, welcome to Beauty and the Biz. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Catherine. And thanks for calling me young. I appreciate that.
Sure. Well, I'm getting up there now, and now everyone's looking pretty young to me. So tell me, how did you're in the middle of Utah. Oh, first, I have to talk about the Russian thing. I happen to be reading, I love Russian spy novels for whatever weird reason, and I'm in the middle of one right now. Now, it's winter, and the way it's described, I'm literally freezing reading this book. It's so intense. In Russia, how cold is it?
Well, it depends on where you're at in the country. If you go south to like Rostov-na-Donu, which is on the Black Sea, it's a tropical climate. But where I was in St. Petersburg, I lived in St. Petersburg for about 1 out of the 2 years. And then the other year, I lived in a very small town called Petrozavodsk, which is, here's St. Petersburg, here's the North Pole, and Petrozavodsk is this little lake town right a little closer to the North Pole than St. Petersburg. And I was there in the middle of winter, and the coldest I ever saw was 40 below. And I remember it was 40 below because do you know what 40 below in Fahrenheit is?
No.
It's 40 below in Celsius. That's where the two graphs meet. So 40 below is the same in both Fahrenheit and Celsius. And you walk outside in that kind of temperature and you immediately take a breath, and every bit of moisture in your body immediately crystallizes. All of the moisture in your nose, any tears on your eyes, everything just immediately is frozen. But I loved my time there. I spent 2 years there for a church mission, and loved the people, loved the country. The history is incredible and fascinating, and I still haven't gotten a chance to go back there, but that's on my list.
But if you were an interpreter, that means you spoke Russian, and you must have spoken very well and fluently if you were in charge of that. How in the world? I don't know one person in America who said, "Hey, I think I'm going to learn Russian." How did that happen?
So while I was there, I had been there for about 1.5 years, and this was in 2003. And in 2003, St. Petersburg celebrated their 300-year anniversary as a city. And President Putin, he was still president at the time, he put in billions of dollars into renovating St. Petersburg for this celebration. So they repainted the whole city. They restored a lot of old churches and buildings. And one of the things that they were anticipating was several 100,000, if not over 1 million visitors coming through the Hermitage Museum in a period of about a month. So it was just going to be packed for this whole month-long celebration of St. Petersburg. And they needed English-speaking interpreters to be stationed throughout the museum to be able to tell people like, hey, the Rembrandts are this way, or if you want to see Michelangelo go this way, or the bathrooms are that way. And for whatever reason, the church missionaries got put in charge of that project. And I got tapped as the lead for that project. So I had to, over several months, give, we had over 100 missionary volunteers who spoke Russian, but also English. And then we had over 100 native Russians who spoke fluent English. And so I had a group of over 200 people where we organized and trained them on the museum so that throughout that whole month, they could be stationed throughout the museum and guide people. So every day for about 2.5 months, I was taking little small groups on private tours throughout the museum so they could acquaint themselves with it, taught them what we were going to do during this big celebration. And that's really where I developed a really strong love of the arts. I mean, so the Hermitage is the second largest museum in the world.
Do you have any idea how many square feet it is? Because this thing is massive.
Oh, I'd have to go look. I mean, it is.
Is it like football fields? Like
bigger. I mean, it's composed of 5 buildings. The Winter Palace, which is where the czars used to live, is the kind of recognizable building. It's like a green color. It sits right on Yellow Square, and that's kind of the entrance that everybody recognizes. But it's actually 5 massive buildings that host some of the most incredible art in the world, and some of the most recognizable art in the world. And walking through just over and over, I really developed a love of art and the classics there.
And just out of curiosity, is it a dangerous city? Because this book makes it sound like everyone's a spy and you can't trust anybody and everyone's ripping you off. I mean, is it what is Russia like? Just your observation.
Russia is a city, is a country that's really been damaged by its history and by its leaders. There is, since the Iron Curtain came down, there still has not really developed a middle class. It's a very kind of 2-class system, especially in St. Petersburg, where you have the ultra wealthy and then everybody else. The people, though, are great. They're kind, they're loving, and they're a great people. They're a little untrustworthy because of their history and how they've been treated. But once you kind of get in their home, they'll give you the shirt off their back and would do anything for you. I love it. What's interesting is my brother, he served a church mission to the Ukraine. And so he and I, with world events as they are today, actually have friends who are now at war with each other. And it's a hard thing to watch, especially when you know and love people on both sides, and you have to your heart goes out to these people who really are at the mercy of leaders making, choices that we may or may not agree with.
What a mess that all is, my Lord. So back to our vanity world. How did you become a plastic surgeon? Did you grow up with plastic surgeons? When you leave the church, say,
First of all, I'm gonna correct you right there, because my approach to plastic surgery is a little unique.
It's not about vanity.
I do not believe that plastic surgery has anything to do with vanity. I think plastic surgery, I think it can, and I think there are people who utilize it that way. But for me and my practice, plastic surgery is one of the most self-empowering things that a person can do for themselves when it's done for the right reasons. And so you and I talked a little bit about this when we met in Miami. I have my own podcast called the Naked Patient Podcast. And that's what we kind of talk about on there, is removing this social stigma of plastic surgery being this horribly vain thing that people only do to kind of satisfy their own vain desires. Because I don't think that's what it's about.
Okay, we don't agree on that, but carry on, because whatever prompts somebody to want to look good and feel good, I'm all for that, because my opinion is we're all just trying to be happy, period.
Sure.
We're all just trying to figure out what the heck we're doing here on Earth and how can we enjoy it. Today, I want to buy a new car and that's going to make me happy. Tomorrow, it's plastic surgery. The next day, it's a boyfriend or husband. Like, it just, we're always bopping around. So I love that we can do whatever we want. That's the greatest part about being human beings. We ebb and flow, so yeah, however we get there, it's become super duper popular. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you how I kind of came to that belief, because that really is the mantra that kind of drives me in this practice. Um, when I was going through medical school and then residency, I remember I had a dinner with this. He was a friend, and we went out to dinner with some other friends, and he was asking me, what I was going to go into. This was around third or fourth year of medical school. And I told him, I think I'm going to do plastic surgery. I think I really love plastic surgery. And he didn't ask me another question. He just looked at me and he says, "Oh, what a shame." And I was like, I'm sorry. And he said, it's such a shame that healthcare has become the way it is, that you've got to go into such a vain and horrible profession in order to make any money these days. And I'm like, hold on a second. I really like plastic surgery. And that was the start of it. And then even later, I got into residency, and my mom would call me pretty regularly. And she would say, "Did you do good plastic surgery today? Or did you do bad plastic surgery today?" And in her mind, if I was doing cleft lips and palates, or even massive breast reductions, she would justify that I was doing good plastic surgery. But if I was doing rhinoplasties, breast augmentations, facelifts, I was somehow doing bad plastic surgery. And that was coming from my own mother. So I had to reconcile that somehow in my life. I had to make that make sense, or else, because I wasn't going to agree that I was just doing this profession to make any money, and that there was a good and a bad side of it, and that I was choosing the bad side because I knew I wanted to go into cosmetics. So for me, the way that I reconciled that is I just realized that they're not different. I think, and I have seen a breast augmentation change a woman's life just as significantly as a cleft lip or cleft palate changed some kid's life in Guatemala. And that may sound like a really harsh comparison, but that is true. And that's because plastic surgery is such an individual thing, and it can be so self-empowering for that person, that thing, that's why I believe it's not about vanity. So when you do it for the right reasons, it takes that whole vanity thing away, and it becomes about empowerment. And that's why I love plastic surgery. And maybe that's just how I reconcile it in my mind, but I truly believe that. And that's the approach that I take with my patients.
So at family reunions, do you guys talk about it? Are you the black sheep? Is everyone okay now? Like, how's your mom doing?
Oh, listen, she's heard me tell that story countless times. And,
Good.
oh yeah, she knows, but she, I think, has come over to my side where she feels like, you know what, you're right. Plastic surgery really can change lives, and is more about, it can be about self-empowerment and not about the way that we have pushed this as a society. And that's not just social media and influencers' faults. We as plastic surgeons have pushed this as a vain profession and something that's not empowering. And I think that we have a responsibility as plastic surgeons to improve the way our field is perceived.
So when you left fellowship and it's time to go out into the marketplace, what were your choices, and how did you decide what to do? And then what did you do?
So for me, I had gone to a meeting I think it was in San Diego or Dallas, and it was actually about the business of plastic surgery, and they had some guys talking about how to run a business, because you don't get a lot of that in training. And I'm trying to remember who it was that gave this talk. He's out in California. I really like him. What's that?
Were they doctors?
Yeah, he's a plastic surgeon in California. I can't. I'm
Was it
blanking.
Paul Nassif?
What's that?
Paul Nassif? The guy
No,
who Scotch?
no.
Because he has a program now. Everybody wants to do what I do. I'm a consultant to plastic surgeons, teach the business of marketing, and now everybody wants to do that.
No, I'm blanking on his name, and he'll, I'll come back to it. But he had this idea that he used when he went out into practice, and he wrote a letter to every board certified guy and said, "Hey, I'm coming out there to practice. I'm not necessarily looking for a job, but if you have an opportunity, I'd love to hear about it." And he said he got 2 responses back. He got one guy that said, "There's no room for you here." And he got another response from a guy that said, "Sure, as long as you stay on this side of town." And I heard that story and I thought, I'm still going to do that. I think that still sounds like an opportunity. And Salt Lake City is still kind of this underdog, or at least perceived underdog in plastic surgery. We at one point were the number 2 or number 3 spot per capita in the country for plastic surgery.
Right.
And it always kind of shifts, but Salt Lake is always up there near the top. We have a ton of plastic surgery here, and a lot of plastic surgeons. So I was training in Texas. I had gotten divorced, and my ex-wife had moved here with our 2 kids, and so I knew I was coming to Utah. And I did what this guy had suggested. I wrote a letter. I looked up every board certified guy, wrote a letter, said, "Hey, I'm coming out there. Let me know." And in 2 weeks, I had 14 offers.
Nice.
And a lot of them were older guys looking for me to buy their practice. They wanted me to pay them $1-2 million to buy their practice. And those ones I wrote off immediately. But then there were a few that were from guys looking for partners. And the contracts they offered were different. And the one group that I found that I ended up joining is a kind of a hybrid practice model. So our group is called Premier Plastic Surgery, and there's 4 of us in the group. And we office share, we share expenses of our nurses. We have the same office manager, but within that umbrella of Premier Plastic Surgery, we all have our own individual PC. So Howland Plastic Surgery is its own entity within Premier Plastic Surgery. So I'm the sole president and employee of Howland Plastic Surgery. I do my own marketing. I run my own social media, but I'm also under this Premier Plastic Surgery group through which we buy our implants, we buy our products for our med spa, and as a group, we also save a little bit on our malpractice because of that. And so I get a lot of the benefits of a group practice, but I still get to enjoy the freedom of an individual practice where I'm doing my own marketing and I'm creating my own brand, and that's all independent from this group. And I've loved it. I don't think that there's a model that I have seen that works better in my opinion.
All right. So how do you divvy up the expenses? Is it done per surgical hour or where? Because this is one area where you can get into trouble when you're working with a bunch of surgeons. You're using the OR more than I am. Why am I paying for all of that? How have you worked that out? Because it can be troublesome.
So the surgical center side runs a little bit differently. So I'll get to that in a second. So on our clinical side with Premier Plastic Surgery, everything is split uniformly down the middle. We all get a bill, a stack of bills at the end of the month, and we're splitting those bills 25% across the board. And on the surgical side, though, if I'm an independent contractor with Premier Plastic Surgery, so I go into the surgical center and I have contracted pricing as an owner with the surgical center that I pay when I use it. And so it's really based on my use. You kind of still eat what you kill, and that's it. A couple years into my practice, I was offered the opportunity to buy into the surgical center as well as the medical spa, which I did. And so I now am one of the 4 owners of the surgical center as well as the med spa.
So all 4 of you are the owners, partial owners of the med spa and the surgical center. You don't have outside surgeons coming in.
It gets a little complex there. We are in a building where there are 9 plastic surgeons in this building. and only 4 of us own the surgical center and the med spa. In my group, Premier Plastic Surgery, 3 of us are the owners. The other owner actually is an independent a solo practice, but he's in the building.
Hmm.
And so that's where it gets a little convoluted.
Okay, as long as you've got a good accounting system, tracking all of this,
Oh yeah. And so with the 4 of us owning the surgery center, 9 plastic surgeons in the building that use it, plus we bring in some orthopedic surgeons, we bring in some podiatrists, some urologists. I mean, there's probably about 17, 18 surgeons that use the OR. We've got 4 ORs. It's a quad ASF surgical facility, and it works great.
So what would you say, give me the pros and the cons of working in this hybrid practice idea. I think is almost your best bet, no matter how you look at this, because you still have the freedom to do your thing. Because one of the biggest issues I have seen after 23 years is one guy wants to be the alpha and the other guy has to be the number 2. And the egos don't usually mesh well that way. So in your case, you don't need a lion in the jungle. You're all 4 doing your own thing. And so what would be the pros and the cons of both?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what the hardest part for us right now is, and it has nothing to do with our model. It has to do with only one of those owners of the 4 of us is actually the landlord of the building we're in.
Gotcha.
And that's where any problems that we run across come up, is when the landlord makes a decision that favors the landlord and not the partners of the practice. And so the solution to that, which is something we're working on, is having a building where everybody shares equal ownership in the land in the building. Because otherwise, the practice model runs almost perfectly. I mean, I don't need to be the alpha, and nobody else strives to be the alpha because they have their own practices and brands. My brand is Howland Plastic Surgery. Premier Plastic Surgery is this nice group model that we put up a billboard for, and we'll put some ads in a magazine here and there so people know, oh, that's the group I go to. But the brand I'm building is Howland Plastic Surgery because I'm the brand.
One of the issues also that comes up is Premier Plastic Surgery it's not a little practice. It's a very big established, you're the largest group in Draper, Utah. So
we're the largest group in Utah outside of the university.
Okay. When leads come in, they don't all say Dr. Howland. They sometimes just say Premier, like how do you divvy up leads that come in arbitrarily?
We have a front desk staff that's very well trained to be diplomatic. They also know the surgeons who kind of like certain things. So a couple of the partners don't like liposuction. And so if somebody calls and they don't know the surgeon that they want to go to, those doctors that don't like liposuction aren't recommended. And we've all kind of created our own little niche in terms of what we like, and the front desk staff know which surgeons prefer which cases and that. The other thing I'll say to that was one of my big concerns coming into a group. I had a friend who joined a guy whose wife ran the practice. And it was a year in before he realized, oh my gosh, she's giving every single lead to her husband, obviously.
Yeah,
and so that was a concern for me. And I asked the office manager, hey, how do we divvy this up? And she said, you'd be surprised. She said, most people who call here aren't calling saying, I need a plastic surgeon. Most people who call are calling because they looked up Dr. Howland or Dr. So-and-so, and that's specifically who they're trying to get an appointment with. It is few and far between for somebody to call up and say, I want a tummy tuck. Who do you got?
Gotcha.
And that's getting even more prominent in today's age of social media. People are looking up your before and afters. They want to come to you. Nobody's looking up a group practice before and afters, not looking at the surgeon and then calling up and saying, well, gee, the group looks good. Send me to somebody in there. No, they know the surgeon they're trying to get in to see.
That's why there's such a debate about what to name your practice. In today's world, you've got to get your name in there somewhere. Like
You're the brand. Absolutely.
I hear you. Like I know when you're ready to exit, you wish it was something else, but at the moment to grow this thing, it takes your name. So I don't know what the answer is there, but I do know things work better when when your brand is your name and people get to know you.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I'll go back to those guys who were trying to sell me their practice at the end of their career. For whatever reason, among doctors, that especially plastic surgeons, the idea that your practice is worth anything when you retire, that's gone. Like you're not a dental practice. Nobody's staying committed to the plastic surgeon they go to when he retires, and they're going to go in and see the guy he brought in and replace you. No, like you are the brand. The only thing that's worth any money at the end of the day is the building you're in and the dirt it sits on. And so that's why that landlord issue is so important for me. Is I know at the end of the day, my practice is not going to be worth a thing because it's me. I'm the brand. So I better be invested in the real estate and the building if I want to have anything to take away from my practice at the end of the day.
I certainly agree about the real estate. And I would also keep an open mind to the med spa. That's your best bet for reoccurring predictable revenues because
That's fair.
Your name is not on that as much and it's much easier to transfer over. And a doctor will buy something like a predictable revenue stream from a med spa than they will from another surgeon who has patients that may not be a fit for him at all. So I think that's where your next best asset is, the med spa.
Yeah, that I would absolutely agree with.
So, so are you still doing, how much cosmetic, how much insurance? What's the plan?
That's kind of morphed over the years. You know, I still followed that old model. You know, we talked earlier about me taking call, and I did that old model where you just take call everywhere you can. I did a lot of hand trauma and a lot of facial trauma and built up my cosmetic practice slowly, and that still works. When I say slowly, I feel like it built up pretty quick with social media, but I only in the last year have stopped taking any insurance other than some passion surgeries that I really enjoy doing. And so now my mix is probably a 90-10 mix of cosmetic versus insurance cases.
Oh, interesting. And does anyone else in the practice do insurance, or are you pretty much cosmetic all the way there?
Pretty much cosmetic all the way. We will be bringing on another junior partner here shortly. Especially since I've transitioned out, he'll ideally come in and take some insurance cases, and that's kind of the model we followed, where the new guy comes in, he practices that old style of eating what he kills, taking what insurance he can, and then growing his cosmetic practice until he's busy enough where it's time to take on another junior partner.
What I'm noticing after doing this for decades is the patience has dwindled to a lot less, because before you'd have to grind like that for years. And now it seems like there's no patience now. They want it now. They want it now.
Sure.
So they do all the recon and the ENT and all of that for about a year and say, okay, I'm good. I'm done. I'm not doing this. And it's problematic, because on the one hand, you're saying, oh yeah, insurance is great. And on the other hand, nobody wants it because you can't make any money, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's, I don't know, any advice for that, for people coming out saying, I'm not doing call. Like, you can do this without doing call. Can you enter the marketplace?
Yes, you can enter the marketplace without doing call. And I see guys do it all the time.
How do they do that?
They establish a social media presence as quickly as possible. They provide good results and they treat their patients well.
And they take out a massive loan to cover office, staff, lasers, OR. Like, is that what they're doing?
I'm not sure if they are. For me, I didn't have to do that. The way the way that this was set up is I established a line of credit. And I think I dipped into that line of credit twice. I bought a computer and a white coat, because that's all I needed. They had everything for me here. Desk was here, furniture was here, the nurses were here, everything was here. and I needed some help with that first month for cost of living. After that, I was earning enough to maintain my cost of living and to pay my bills. Um, but I think there probably are guys who have to either take out loans or take out a line of credit if they're not doing any type of insurance cases, or their contract is different. I have a friend who joined a cosmetic practice, doesn't take any call at all. His contract was a guaranteed salary, and then anything that he earns past that guaranteed salary, he gets to pocket a percentage of it. And I think a lot of those contracts exist where it makes sense to do that and not have to take call. I'm partial to the independent contractor contract. I think when you're giving a percentage of those cases away to a partner, golly, that sure breeds a difficult relationship, right? Especially if you start earning a lot and you're like, why am I paying this guy a percentage of these cases? So for me, I just think doing that independent contractor agreement and saying I'm gonna buckle down for a few months until I'm busy enough is the best way to go.
Well, I hang around mostly with the more mature surgeon who's trying to figure out how to exit profitably,
Mhm.
and they'll guarantee a salary for about a year, and that's not an open wallet forever, because he took the risk, and that's what they say to me. I took all the risk. I'm the one who put down all this stuff at the bank. I'm the one who had to go through hell to grow this thing. And this guy walks in and says, "Oh, well, what do you got for me today?" So there's some resentment already before anyone even starts.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
I always say get all of this in writing when everyone's still happy, just like a divorce, like do it when you're still in love. Because there's just so many ways to go sideways on that. And I don't know how, they want you to buy their practice because they want to walk away with some money. But
Yeah.
you're saying, what am I buying? And that's why I think you've got to own some land here, because at least you've got the land and the building.
Yeah.
Um, and the rest is just gravy, I guess.
Yeah. One of the
So
things one of the things that we have done in our group that I think is helping. So 2 years in, I bought into into the surgery center and the med spa. And the reason I did that is that wasn't supposed to be an option for me until 5 years. But one of the partners retired earlier than everybody thought. And when he retired, he said, "Okay, I'm out, buy me out." And they hadn't really thought that far ahead. And so they did an evaluation and they ended up paying this guy out. And I'm sitting there going, guys, you're all about the same age. I'm not about to take out a massive loan when you all retire to pay every one of you off. So we either figure this out or else I'm going to be finding another practice. And so what we did is my buy-in for the ownership in the surgery center and the med spa was assuming the loan that they took out to pay that guy off. And the way though that we structured future buyouts is we had an insurance guy come in, and we all now have basically it's a universal life policy that will have a set cash value amount at our retirement age. And when you want to retire, that policy becomes your buyout. You've got the cash value of it, which we set really high. And you can then retire and say, great, I will take my cash value policy and I will now walk away. And so older guys in the practice have to put in more money for their premiums because they're older and closer to retirement. For me, my premiums towards that policy are not too significantly high, but I know that I'm going to have a nice cash value nest egg at the end of retirement, and I'm not going to have to worry about having somebody buy me out.
what happens though if you wanted to leave earlier? Is there a clause that says you get the piece of whatever you've put in already, or do you lose that?
Yes, you can. Yes, if you leave early, you can take your policy, and it's because they're individual policies under an umbrella.
Gotcha. Now, is there, but by the way, let's just talk about staff for a second. I'm surprised you don't have any staff issues because usually, on the one hand, when there's a dictator, at least there's clarity, like everyone gets it because there's this one personality you're dealing with. But when all of you are working solo, or the staff still has to work together as a team,
Yeah.
how does that work out? Like, who do they listen to? Or
Brittany. Her name's Brittany.
office manager?
Yeah, and we had, so it's now Brittany. It used to be Stephanie. And that is one of the biggest lessons I've learned in 5 years is I cannot manage people around the clock. I'm like most surgeons where I want to come in, do my cases, go home, and not deal with drama, not deal with, nurses arguing or not doing their job or staff having issues. And so you've got to find an office manager that can run that ship, and you pay her every cent she's worth or him, because it will make your life. And so for us, that's Brittany. She does everything. She manages each partner's individual day-to-day stuff that they need. And she manages all of the nurses, and any staffing issues that we have. And we have regular meetings with her where she says, here's where we're at, here's what we need to do. And she makes life 1,000 times easier.
I would just make sure she doesn't burn out because that's a lot of responsibility.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would. Wow, I would take good care of her.
Those people, well, and we take very good care of her, and those people are hard to find. We had, like I said, we had Stephanie, and then Stephanie moved out of state, and we needed somebody else, and we went through 2 more before we were able to find Brittany, who has been fabulous.
God, yeah, that's why I say hang on to her, because especially in today's climate, it's been very difficult to find good people that'll stay. So yeah.
Well, that's been my mantra as one of the owners, is you pay your good people what they're worth. And we have very, very little turnover. And I think it's because we keep our good people, and we pay them what they're worth.
So in your 5 years, just give me one mistake that you made that you wish you hadn't, but you learned from it.
Okay, this one is, I still don't think this was a mistake, but
it's not a mistake. It's feedback,
But I definitely learned a lesson from it. And so this one's a little bit topical based on Utah and the culture here. So that 2-year church mission I served was for the Mormon Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I grew up that way. I grew up here in Utah. I'm no longer a member of that church. But a large part of the community here in Utah still is. And so a lot of the marketing around here, not just plastic surgery, but marketing in general, will oftentimes cater to members of that church. In Utah, it's a very common phrase to hear people say the church. And you're just supposed to know that they're talking about the Mormon church. I remember when I moved to Texas and I said something like, oh, I'm the church. And a friend of mine was like, what church? What are you talking about? But here in Utah, everybody knows what you're talking about. So I had this idea for a billboard that I thought was brilliant. The Salt Lake City LDS temple was undergoing construction and was under all this scaffolding. And that temple is a huge part of the Salt Lake City skyline. Like if anybody shows you a skyline of Salt Lake, that granite temple with the 6 spires and the big golden angel on top is going to be part of that skyline. And so when I was growing up, a thing that parents and church leaders and people would always say to me is, your body's a temple. Your body's a temple. Don't do anything to your body that would damage it, because that's a temple. That's the house of God. And so as I kind of reconciled plastic surgery in my mind, and I'm going through residency, it's really bad to tell somebody, hey, you need plastic surgery. "Oh, you're looking a little rough. You should get some plastic surgery." Like, that's a terrible thing to say to
Your
somebody.
temple is not looking so good.
Exactly. But I think it's just as damaging to tell somebody, "Hey, you're going to have to deal with those size H breasts," or "Sorry, you can't have any plastic surgery because your body's a temple." I think that's just as harmful. So the billboard was a picture of the Salt Lake Temple with under the scaffolding, and the billboard said, "God's remodeling his temple. Isn't it time to remodel yours?" With, with Howland plastic surgery underneath.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Still, I think hilarious and brilliant. I still will take credit for that.
What was the blowback? And how quickly was the blowback?
For the first couple days, I knew I was going to get some of the church blowback. Like, people are very sensitive about their religion. I knew that was coming. And so for the first couple of days, though, it was mostly positive. People were laughing. People loved it. And I was really happy. And then somebody who had a pretty sizable following on Twitter got on Twitter and went on a rant about how I was body shaming women. And I tried to reply and be like, no, you're missing the whole point. This is the opposite of that. I'm saying it's bad to tell somebody get something done. It's just as bad to tell them they can't. Like, this is the opposite of body shaming. And people clung on to that negative image, and I started getting 1-star review bombed, and people started coming after me on social media, and I spent days where I just was up looking at every comment, and I was trying to respond to comments, and I finally realized I can't respond to comments. These people are just here to make a mess and to be angry. And I mulled it over for several days, and I finally the local news came and did a story on it, and I finally, when the local news came, that's when I was like, you know what, we're just, to appease people, we're just going to take the billboard down.
I heard all PR is good PR, no?
Until you get 1-star Google review.
Was the phone ring though with people who wanted plastic surgery?
I have seen a lot of patients come to me specifically because of that billboard.
Right.
A lot of people saw it and said, "Oh my God, I love that guy. I want to go see him."
He's got a great sense of humor. I think he's probably real. Like, I would just look at the numbers. The numbers will tell you everything.
Well, I would say I've probably had just as many look at that and say, "I don't want to go to that guy." And so I to this day wish I wouldn't have taken it down. I had a friend call me the night before. I had already made the decision to pull it, but she called me the night before and she said, "Here's what you do." She said, "You get on the news show tomorrow and you say, 'Look, plastic surgery is about self-empowerment. That's what I believe. That's what I practice. And I am proud of plastic surgery. And I'm not going to be shamed into taking this down, because we need to take away the shame from plastic surgery. That's the whole problem with the world today.'" And I wish I would have done that. I was only 2 years in practice. My Google reviews couldn't have handled that, probably. But
how long was it up? How long was the billboard up?
1 week.
Oh, kidding. And
Yeah.
those are expensive, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's here. It depends on where you're at here in Utah, but billboards run anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 a month.
But don't you have to sign a contract?
Yeah, you're on a contract, and so we just changed the ad.
Oh, gotcha.
It was a digital board, and so we just changed the look of the ad and put something else up.
You know what? You were a little new, so maybe that was a lot of critique for, still being pretty fresh at this. I think it's very cute and it's a good idea. I think you could have gotten some good PR from it if you could have gone on to do the empowerment. But I will tell you, the media loves the negative, so they could have turned that around on you. So, like, you think you're going to want to talk about empowerment, and there's a good chance they would have gotcha. So But actually, I worked with this practice. I won't say who, but he was also religious, but he was more Christian, and he had Bibles in each exam room. And I said to him, "Look, you're either talking religion here or you're talking body transformation, but you can't do both at the same time. It's making me uncomfortable. And I'm Catholic. Like I love God, but
Yeah.
this is not the time for us to be talking about Bibles. You know what I mean? Like I was in Utah and I went to the church and I was fascinated with it. That they were marrying on a Tuesday afternoon. There had to have been 50 couples getting married, and they were all under 18 or something. But I was fascinated with it. So good for Mormons. They've got everyone. They're clean living, no drinking, no smoking. I mean, good for them. I don't know how you get people to do that, but they're the most productive state I've ever seen.
Well, I feel very blessed to have been a part of that culture.
Yeah.
People will ask me all the time when I'm telling them I'm from Utah if I'm Mormon, and I actually will say, even though I don't belong to the church anymore, I will say I am, because those are my people, those are my culture. I'm very grateful for the lessons I learned, for the values that I have because of that. But I also love being able to speak both sides here. Like a patient comes into my office, and if they are a member of that church, I've been there. I know what those thoughts are and what they're dealing with. Somebody who's not a member, I know what that's like. Mm-hmm. And so I can speak to that too. So I feel like those experiences in my past have given me such an advantage here to be able to speak to both sides of the coin with my patients.
For sure. So let's talk more about marketing, because I love that you're only 5 years out. There's no way you are marketing like your father's generation did. So how did you enter the marketplace? It sounds like you went to, you tried the billboard result and you figured that one out. But did you go into the print ads, or did you go straight to social? How did you put your mark on the world?
Well, I didn't have a lot of money. And so I still think billboards work. And I still do billboards. My face has been on the side of I-15 ever since I got here.
Do you keep updating it? Because you look dramatically different than you
do. I do. And yeah, it's changed. My appearance has changed quite a bit, especially just in the last year. But
do you want to talk about that? Because I almost didn't recognize you. When I saw that introductory video on your website, I thought, that's not the guy I know.
I know. I need a different one. I've lost 60 pounds in this last year. And
good for you. Any weight tips?
I went through, I did the 75 hard challenge.
Love. I listened to him. I just listened to him this morning. I love Andy Frisella. He's my man. Yeah.
It was a great start for me. And so I now at least have a base to work with,
Yeah.
And I got down to a weight that I'm happy with. And now I'm working on kind of building some muscle. And this last year was a real journey for me. I kind of got out of a toxic relationship and really focused on myself a lot this year and on learning to love me. And it's changed every aspect of my life, both my self-worth for me, my ability to be a dad with my kids, and even into my work life, my ability to be a good surgeon and a good boss and a good leader. All of those things have changed just by me focusing more on myself and taking care of myself.
For those of you who don't know, 75 Hard is a program put together by this internet kind of guy named Andy Frisella. And he's in St. Louis. No, he's in Missouri somewhere. Maybe it's St. Louis. And so he's all about mental toughness. And he's another one who lost like 100 pounds. And the thing is for 75 days, you learn discipline. It's all about discipline and getting to know yourself and controlling yourself, controlling your emotions. No drinking, very disciplined diet. You have to read twice a day. You have to exercise outside twice a day for 45 minutes, no matter what. And yep. I think about him all the time because I'm very disciplined. I exercise like I am disciplined. I even take the darn cold showers. I'm waiting for that to make me a multimillionaire. It hasn't yet, but I'm going to control my mind more than I let I'm going to control my brain and I'm not going to let it control me. So this 75 Hard, I I just never wanted to go that far. But I intermittent fast, all of that. It is brutal, wasn't it? Like, didn't you? I mean, it's a game changer, isn't it? For 75 days, you are so gosh darn disciplined.
Yeah, you're locked into it. And for me, I thought that no drinking was going to be the hardest thing. But it actually was the water. You have to drink a gallon of water every day. And as a surgeon, you don't normally scrub out to go to the bathroom.
Right.
But when you're drinking a gallon of water a day, though, you have to. And so that was one of the hardest things for me. But it was such a good. It's a way to develop habits. Anybody can do anything for 75 days. It's not going to suddenly just change you, but it helps you create habits that you hopefully continue to stick with. To this day, I walk for 45 minutes every morning. That was my outside workout that I would do every day. It would just be a 45-minute walk outside. And every morning I get up and I take that walk, and that's kind of where I meditate and get my day started.
Oh, so interesting. That's good. So back to the marketplace. So you have the billboard and you're doing social media.
I have the billboard. I started doing a lot of Instagram and Facebook, and I started by posting a lot of videos of my cases. That's become more difficult to do as a marketing ploy. The algorithms have started pushing those down or shadow banning those people for showing graphic content videos. When I started doing that, they didn't, and those became wildly popular. People want to see surgery in action. You can still do those, and videos still get a lot of traction, but you just have to be careful how you're posting them, when you're posting them, and making sure you've got the appropriate kind of filters on there, like, hey, this is a graphic content video. For me, I'll tell you the secret to my own social media is you need to be interesting. And so the only things you should be posting are things that are interesting about you. And because, again, remember, the whole point of my belief in my success is you are the brand. And so take 5 things that are interesting about you, the brand, and that's all you post. So for me, I sat down and I thought about this, and because at the time I was throwing anything at the wall. I was doing literary book quotes. I was doing stock photos of people having plastic surgery and saying BBLs are great. And nobody was stopping and liking it. Nobody was commenting on it. Nobody cared. It didn't engage you. And so the 5 things I came up with for me that were interesting. I'm a plastic surgeon. That's pretty interesting. And so I post plastic surgery content, whether it's before and afters or videos or education. I post that. I'm a single dad with 2 kids. That's unique and interesting. I love to hike, so I post about hiking. That's unique and interesting. I love to travel, so I post anytime I'm traveling. And I love cooking and I love wine, and so I post videos of me cooking or wine that I'm enjoying. And that's it. I don't post anything else. You scroll through and that's all you see on my feed. There's no stock photos. There's no book quotes. There's no hang in there posts. It's just those 5 things. And if you don't have an engaging post, don't post it. I am a firm believer in posting only engaging content. Sometimes that'll be more than once a day. Sometimes that'll be twice a week.
And you do it yourself, or you have a team that does it?
It's a mix. I'm the one who finalizes and posts everything. I do have some content, I call them content curators, because I actually get the content and then say, hey, I need you to create a before and after, or make this into a TikTok. And I've tried bringing on people who could run the whole social media. Nobody has your vision. Nobody is going to take it and run with it the way you want to. And so you're constantly just like, ugh, why'd they post this? Why'd they say this? You just, that's got to be a thing that you do. It's it's a good and it's a blessing and a curse. It's good and bad.
I do know some surgeons though who have a marketing team, but they meet with them every week. They go over the content. The best part is they've got that videographer in there all the time, taping or recording the life, the day in the life of a plastic surgeon. And then
Sure.
if you can get a good editor and somebody who understands social media well, it's the Gary Vaynerchuk thing. One video becomes 96 pieces of content.
Yeah.
But you got to get the right person to do that, because that certainly makes your life a lot easier, and it's really engaging content too.
Yeah, those are hard to find. We're slowly kind of building that team, but that's kind of we started from the bottom, and we're slowly building that team.
Now, I saw your Facebook, and I didn't see YouTube, and Instagram was private. Is that just me?
You're looking at Howland Plastic Surgery. You need to go to Dr. Nicholas Howland.
For God's sake.
I'm the brand, Catherine.
I'm like, there's no way he is doing, because it said, I've got a lot of videos, and I thought there's no way he put that under private. Why would he do that?
No,
Okay.
Yeah. Dr. Nicholas Howland's the Instagram as well as the TikTok. My YouTube channel is sparse. We're starting to put my podcast content onto the YouTube channel, and we'll use that more.
So let's talk about your podcast, because I know a lot of surgeons who have started one, and they usually get to about 4 and say, this is way too much work. I don't want to do this anymore. And so I always say, you know what, before you even jump in, decide and commit. Are you going to do it or you're not going to do it? Because you can't do it once a month. It's got to be consistent. It's got to be interesting. And thank God I have all you surgeons to, interview, because it's a lot of work to pound this out every week. So
For sure.
I'm going with yours. And I love the name of yours, The Naked Patient. You're very good at headline.
Well, listen, this came about really just in the last 6 months. I had a patient who was talking to me. She'd been through 3 rounds of body contouring after losing 300 pounds.
Oh.
And after the last round of surgery, her husband pulled her aside and said, you're still ugly, and I miss you when you were heavy. And that was a blow to her. And she was talking to me on the phone about this and said, I'm struggling because I'm feeling guilty about my bariatric surgery. I'm feeling guilty about my plastic surgery. She said, but I've never felt better about me in my life. And she says, I don't know how to deal with that. And I said, that's actually more common than you think with weight loss patients. We should do like an Instagram live, or we should do an interview or something. And literally it just kind of hit me. I was like, hold on, this just needs to be a podcast where we talk about that human element of plastic surgery. There's surgery podcasts all over the place where you can talk about what to expect and what surgeries do what and how the pain was. I want to dive past that. I want to get into the actual emotional side of plastic surgery. Did it change your life or did it not change your life? Was it empowering or wasn't it? And I want to hear both sides. This is not a rah-rah Dr. Howland podcast where people come on and talk about how great I did. No, I bring on complications. I bring on patients who I know are not happy with their results. And that was how it started. And so I brought in patients where we were going to talk about their plastic surgery. And then it's kind of morphed into everybody who comes on as a patient of mine, but really I just want to hear good stories. And sometimes it's plastic surgery adjacent. Sometimes we don't even talk about their surgery. Like I had my sister on who has had plastic surgery, but she has this really cool story where she met her fiance during COVID. They dated for 18 months online, and then he moved around the world to meet her and get married.
Oh.
And
they didn't meet before they got married?
The first time they met was for 2 weeks in Hawaii, and that was March 2020.
Oh,
and then the world shut down, and he lived in Australia, she lived in New York. And so they dated online for
That's
the
a
next
tough commute, boy. I've been
16
to
months.
Australia. That's a 24-hour
Yeah.
airplane ride. Wow.
So they only had met for 2 weeks, and then they dated for 16 months online and decided it was worth it. And now they're married and they just had their first kid.
Oh, cow, that's a great story. We love stories. I mean, I'm a marketer, and the first thing you learn is stories are everything. We remember stories. We were told stories as kids. Bring on the stories and bring the emotional element. That one of the biggest issues I see in practices is they're so logical about the surgery. Now, this is what's going to happen, and this is what, but nobody's talking about the emotional side. Like, why
Yeah.
are you having this? Anything going on in your life? Like, what's prompting you to do something about it now? And then grab the story afterwards. So, what do you think? You know, has this transformed your life? Has it been a game changer? That's what we all want to know.
Yeah. And so that's all we talk about. And I don't do hardly anything other than set aside a block of time once a month to go down to, there's a podcasting studio, and it's all set up. I pay a small monthly fee where they've got cameras set up, recording equipment. I schedule my people. I knock out 5 or 6 interviews in half of a day. And then we release, and they do everything. They cut it for me. They edit it for me. They upload it to all of the podcast channels for me. They even will create small snippets of clips from the podcast that I can use for content on my social media. And for me, I think it's helping my practice from a business standpoint, but I don't care. This podcast does not need to make money for me. It's helping me become a better surgeon because I'm connecting more with my patients. And I think it's very cathartic for my patients to come on and talk about their experience. That's what makes it worth it for me. If this thing blows up and becomes the next Joe Rogan podcast, awesome. It's not going to. But
Like to be the best when it gets to that point.
if it also only gets my patients to come on and that's it, I'm still happy. It's still worth it for me. And so that's the other thing I would tell anybody looking into doing a podcast. You have to go into it for the right reason. And that reason cannot be to make money, because the podcast
is not a money-making endeavor.
No, the podcasts that make money are few and far between.
So how difficult is it? How do you ask a patient, do you want to be on a podcast? Because most of the surgeons still have trouble asking for before and after photos. So how are you getting them to agree to a full-on podcast?
It's a connection. You build a connection with your patients that's beyond the money surgery exchange. And so if I know somebody has a unique story, or if I am talking with a patient and they tell me that emotional side, I was like, hey, I would love for you to come share that on the podcast. And sometimes I get stuff that is just completely unexpected. Like I had a gal come on my podcast just last week, and I saw her in my office for her 3 months, which is when we do their pictures and we then turn them loose and we see them every year. And I came in to see her after she had gotten her pictures, and she was just sobbing. And what's wrong? And she said, you need to know that this is like the culmination of this long road I've been on. I lost all this weight. I was in a very abusive relationship. And this has just really helped me see the me that I knew existed. And it was really beautiful. And I just said, I would love for you to come share that. Will you come tell me that story on my podcast? She said, absolutely. So she shows up, and that was all I knew about her. I didn't know anything about it. A lot of my patients that come on there might be friends, or they might be somebody who I know their personal life, or they might be like locally famous. And so we'll put them on. I knew nothing about this girl. And she came on and started sharing her story. She was in a very physically abusive relationship. She decided to leave the relationship. And the day she decided to leave was July 2020. In the middle of COVID, she put her 2 kids in the car. She went in to tell her husband that she was leaving, and he shot himself in front of her.
Oh my God.
And I had no idea that was coming. And so I'm silent on this podcast,
What can
and
you say?
nothing, but she goes on to tell the most beautiful story of healing and kind of learning who she was and forgiving him and raising these two boys and becoming an advocate for suicide awareness. And plastic surgery for her was like putting a bow on the present, she said. Like, it was the cherry on top to finally see all of the work she had done on the inside. And it was such a validation to my message that plastic surgery is empowering. I couldn't have asked for a better messenger to come on the podcast and share that. And those are the stories that I look for.
For lead generation, then, would you say social media is your best lead gen piece, or podcast is your best lead gen piece?
I would always word of mouth, and social media is a very close second.
Can you track it?
So
tough.
It's hard to, for sure. One of the things that I do is I personally engage with all of my messages on Instagram and social media. So you're not talking to a nurse or a coordinator, you're talking to me. And that's a helpful way of tracking. But otherwise, and there are algorithms built in where we can see if a patient, got to my phone number or website through Instagram or through TikTok. But otherwise, it's tough to say, yes, this is exactly where this person came from.
Right. Do you find, though, on Instagram, I personally, just working with practices, I find that the Instagram people are have more sticker shock than others. I don't know if it's because they're online a lot and they think, like, boobs are 2 for 1, and, like, I don't know if it's that kind of thing, but do you find that they're more price sensitive than somebody who came to you from word of mouth, let's say?
I haven't. I'll have to look at that. I haven't noticed that where I've said, "Oh, that's the way it's going to be." Utah is a little bit unique in that we've managed to keep our prices really competitive across in terms of across the rest of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get a lot of out-of-town patients who fly here because it's cheaper to fly here, stay here, have your surgery here than to actually stay home locally. And I think that's a unique part of Utah that's allowed that to happen and allowed plastic surgery to be what it is here.
For sure. I didn't realize we are way over time. So let me just ask you, give me some, well, we've learned a lot already, but give me one thing that we don't know about you already. We know you like hiking, wine, all my favorites of the 75 hard. So what don't we know?
Oh boy. I kind of bear it all out there. One thing I will tell you that you don't know is I have, and this last year, as I said, has been sort of a journey, and so I have an entire half sleeve of a tattoo planned, and I've started part of it, and this is kind of one of my newer tattoos. Let me see if I can turn it.
Oh my gosh.
And this is actually the skyline of Salt Lake that we were talking about.
Uh-huh.
And there is the Salt Lake Temple right in here and the Wasatch Mountain Range. And I've got more coming along this arm, and that's all kind of a homage to this journey that my last year has been for myself.
All right. So where are you going with this? So far it's one body part. Is it moving around?
It'll all be just that left arm.
Okay. Why do people do that? Why don't they put them all in one spot? I don't understand tattoos. I have enough freckles to deal with. I can't have any more spots on me. But so you put them all in one place?
I am. I think individual people put them where they want.
Yeah. So interesting. All right. So just to wrap it up, do you have any words of wisdom for the new people coming out or trying to figure out where they fit into this marketplace? Any words of wisdom there?
Yeah, just be authentic. Just be you. You are the brand. Be you, be authentic, and you're going to be successful. I mean, come out, you're a board certified plastic surgeon, you're well trained. There's very little difference between board certified plastic surgeons. And so the thing that's going to set you apart is you. Be authentically you. That's the only thing that's going to set you apart from everybody else.
What words of wisdom. That is so darn true. So how can people learn about you? Because I understand the website is howlandplasticsurgery.com. Mm-hmm. What was the Instagram?
Go to Instagram. It's Dr. Dr. Nicholas Howland is the handle. Same for TikTok. Same for Facebook. Those are the handles that you'll find most of my content on. Listen to the Naked Patient podcast. I think it's actually the Naked Patient : Beyond the Operating Room, but it'll come up if you just look up the Naked Patient. And come see me in Utah. Let's go skiing.
Oh wow! Have you gone up this year?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're in the right place, that's for sure. All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on Beauty and the Biz, and that's going to wrap it up for us this episode. So if you've got any questions for me, please feel free to leave them at catherinemaley.com. You can certainly leave me a DM at Catherine Maley MBA. And then, of course, I'd love for you to subscribe and give us a good review at Beauty and the Biz. And with that, I say goodbye, and we'll talk to you again soon.
The fastest way to success is to model other successful surgeons who have what you want, but you can only see their results, not the path they took to get there. So you continue to jump from one thing to another, hoping to find something that will work for you too. But it rarely does. So try this shortcut instead. It's guaranteed to move you forward. I compiled my intellectual property to grow cosmetic revenues, everything I've gleaned over the years, into one playbook of the most successful practices and what they do to win. Go to cosmeticpracticevault.com and let's grow your cosmetic revenues.